Well, hello there, wild and crazy anthropomorphomaniacs. Lurks here, and today we're going to break down one of the dumbest comments we got on the Why Do People Hate Furries video last week. Now, the vast majority of the comments we got were very positive. We really only got 2 negative comments. This rancid, steaming turd of a comment dropped last night, and I thought it would be funny to break it down and show how outrageous it is, how full of misinformation, and how ignorant this comment is. Okay, it starts out. There's a thing, though, that many furries do not bring up or even know about. Oh, so you, some rando from outside the fandom who clearly doesn't like furries, know about a bunch of stuff that furries don't know about, regarding our own fandom. The furry community has a pornographic majority. I can back this up with evidence in another comment if requested. Oh really? So you wrote a page-long essay of a comment, but you couldn't include that evidence in your original comment? Let's see, I suppose that means you actually don't have any evidence and you're saying, if I request you to provide evidence, you'll do it later in another comment after you dig up some more BS and misinformation online. And because of this, it can cause minors to easily find it, access it, and get addicted to it. Okay, the furry community has a pornographic majority, and because of this, it can cause minors to easily find it, access it, and get addicted to it. That is some nonsensical word salad there. I don't think furry pornography is any more accessible to minors than any other pornography. If their parents are doing a good job monitoring their online usage, that could be prevented just like any other access to pornography. I don't know what evidence they have for this. Also, the furry community has a pornographic majority. As I said in the last video, there's information from a fairly reputable source that did a survey, and only about 40% of the furry community self-reported accessing and consuming adult-type media. And that could even include artists who draw NSFW even though they're not really into it because they're trying to make a living, and that can be very profitable. That could include people like me who don't seek out adult material related to the fandom, but if it pops up once in a while, I'll appreciate it for what it is. I'll appreciate the artistry. So I would argue that it's not accurate to say it is a pornographic majority. Sure, there are some people who are really, really into that in the fandom, and that's their whole purpose of being in the fandom, but they're not the majority. It's an anthropomorphic art fandom. That's what it is by definition. So let's keep going. Another thing is constant viewing of either furry and or non-furry pornography can cause someone to be addicted until they are no longer aroused. What? Excuse me? So that's like saying continual use of heroin can cause people to get addicted until they no longer get high. Well, at that point, what would be the purpose of continuing to use heroin if it had no effect on you anymore? You would just quit using it. If you no longer get the intended purpose from viewing pornography, you wouldn't continue to view it. Because of that, those who are addicted seek for more extreme ways such as pedophilia and zoophilia. Wow, that is jumping to one hell of a conclusion there. Okay, this person obviously has no understanding of basic human psychology, but you don't just suddenly become a pedo or a zoo out of thin air. You're not walking down the street one day and all of a sudden, pop, you become a pedo or a zoophile. Just because you're now bored with the stuff you were looking at and you're addicted to it by this person's logic does not make you suddenly turn into a creep. Wow, I don't even know what is going on in their brain or where they're coming up with this stuff, but it's amusing if nothing else. And that brings us back to the pornographic majority part of the furry fandom. Because of that, there is more expedition of pedophiles and zoophiles in the furry community than any other community out there. So this evidence you were talking about earlier, now would be a good time to present some of that, because this is straight up bullshit. As I said in the video last week, we as a community, the furry fandom, are really good at getting rid of creeps. We do not tolerate pedos or zoos. We call them out, we expose them, and we ostracize them. This is just straight, ignorant furry hatred here. Saying that we have more pedos and zoos than any other group is just like, I've decided that I hate you and I'm going to say bad things about you that have no basis whatsoever in fact. Another thing that can be concluded is that furry pornography can be classified as zoophilia because it is sexualization of anthropomorphic animals, keyword animals, and shows more animal characteristics than human. Okay, that might be the closest thing sort of reaching vaguely toward a valid point out of this whole mess of word salad. Sure, yeah, furry pornography does involve animal people. That could be seen by some as zoophilia, although if you look at the definition, zoophilia is attraction to actual animals, not pictures of part human, part animals. There's kind of an unspoken line that can be crossed with furry adult artwork where if it's a depiction of like a four-legged animal that obviously doesn't have the intelligence to make decisions or consent, that's considered a taboo, and that's considered crossing the line towards zoophilia. And honestly, most furry artwork that I've seen has more human characteristics than animals. The general body shape is human. They're standing upright on two legs. Things like breasts on females are human and not animal type. I would argue that it's 50-50 at most and probably a little more human than animal. Again, I think this person is just somebody who really dislikes the fandom spewing any kind of nonsense they can come up with to make us look bad. Furries would view furry pornography instead of normal pornography because of the fact it's an anthropomorphic animal. Okay. Now here they start to display just a tiny bit of reason. And I get not every furry is a porn addict, and I don't stereotype every furry as one or such, but that doesn't mean this problem shouldn't go counted for. Words are hard, apparently. And I get not every furry is a porn addict. Yeah, I would say a very tiny percentage of the furry fandom and society in general are porn addicts. Just because you view something or use something doesn't mean you are automatically going to get addicted to it. When I had my wisdom teeth out, they gave me narcotic pain relievers. I used them according to the instructions. When they were done, that was it. I didn't become addicted to narcotic pain relievers. Most people who drink alcoholic beverages do not become alcoholics. It's a very small percentage that actually do. And most people who view pornography do not become addicted to it. This is really starting to stink of the extreme religious type furry hater. This person is convinced that pornography is evil and they feel like they need to take a stand against it. As it grows worse and worse, it is evident that the furry community needs to take action against this problem in their community instead of coming after the ones who criticize them and call them Nazi 12-year-olds. I am called that with zero evidence all of the time, and it gets so annoying. So we need to get rid of this evil pornography in our community that's doing things that it's not doing because this person says it's doing the things it's not doing. And instead of calling them a Nazi 12-year-old, well, you have to be 13 to have a Google account and therefore a YouTube account, so they're clearly not a 12-year-old. Actually, I do believe this person's probably an adult, albeit a very misguided one. So, Crusader, if that is your actual name, you're basically admitting here that you leave so many unpleasant comments on furry content that you can extrapolate trends based on the responses you get to those comments. You must be really leaving a lot of nasty comments. I wonder why. Why are you so engaged with something you hate so much? Could it be you're actually curious about the fandom? Or maybe you're just a douchebag. Also, if you read all of this, thanks for listening to my opinions, views, and I hope you have a good day and night. This is not the nastiest person I've ever run into. They're not calling me names. They're not calling the fandom names. They're just basically spewing misinformation that they've been fed in whatever echo chamber they exist in. This is just the classic recipe for ignorance. This person obviously is not seeking real factual information. This person is making conclusions and then going after evidence that supports the conclusions they've already come to. This is known as presupposition or confirmation bias. Super common things among ignorant people. Again, why would you spend so much time consuming furry media if you don't like the fandom? That makes no sense at all. I mean, I don't like neo-Nazis. I don't sit there and watch a bunch of neo-Nazi propaganda and then leave disparaging comments at the end of it. I just ignore it. And those people are actually harmful. The furry community is not harmful. As I've said, there is no evidence that we are pedos in zoos. In fact, we get rid of those people from our community, and we're really good at doing that. This person basically just proved all the points I made in the video last week while pretending that they were arguing some valid point of their own as to why the furry fandom actually has major problems and is evil and sinful and pornographic and blah 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 blah. I mean literally blah 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 blah. Some of those sentences were just like incoherent. But nobody's ever accused furry haters of being the most eloquent writers in the world, I guess. Alright, so what do you think of this ridiculous comment? Is there any truth to it whatsoever? Is this person just spewing absolute nonsense? Let me know down in the comments. Thank you as always to our super amazing supportive patrons, people who enjoy the furry community, people who support the furry community, and creators like me. You are very much appreciated. Thank you so much. Alright, we actually had a different topic scheduled for this week, but this comment popped up and I thought I have to react to this. So we'll be back next week with a video about what makes a great quality fursuit. Until then, you stay fuzzy and you stay safe.